What up, world? And we're back. So I just want to say shouts out to everybody that helped me get to 10,000 subs on this YouTube channel. I want to say thanks, peace and many blessings to all. Thanks for checking it out. So today we're going to be going over 20 years of photography, right? So 20 years in the game is a long time, actually, for shooting, you know. We're going to be going over the homie Beto. We're going to start off with this calendar, though. So you got this CenterFoldz 2025 calendar, right? It's a dope-ass calendar. I'm going to tell you why. If you follow this channel, you're especially going to like it. So up top, you got the cars, right? On the bottom, you got them setups. Peep this out. So you got the setup down below where the months are and the actual car up top. You know, if you're fucking with this channel, we like all them setups. So if you like setups, this is actually going to be your thing, you know. I highly recommend you getting one of these calendars. Look how beautifully it's done. So you got the car up top and then their setup. So if you enjoy hydraulics, you know, the real art of lowriding, you know, you're going to like this shit. So you want to go and cop this. It's that 2025 calendar. Go ahead, order today. You can see them all on the back. So these are some featured cars. It's badass, you know. That's that 2025 calendar. Highly recommend you picking that up today. Now, we're going to be going over the CenterFoldz book. So this is 20 years of cruising, you know. It's Beto's book. So you got a copy right there. We're going to open this one up together, you know. He blessed me with 2 books. So we're going to bless you with seeing how this looks. So you see all these magazines up here? Beto did not shoot for Lowrider magazine for all 20 years, but this is actually, have you guys ever seen the last issue of Lowrider magazine? That's that right there. That's that January 2020 issue, right? So like a lot of photographers, actually, Beto started off shooting with street glow, and he actually talks about that in his book. Beto's been immense when it comes to giving me tips and shit, so I appreciate him taking the time to school me and, you know, perfect my craft. You know, I'm out here in Ohio. It ain't that easy to come amongst lowrider photographers. So when I do, I'm much obliged and I appreciate them for spending the time and, you know, talking to me. So 20 years in lowriding. This is, if you collected lowrider magazines yourself, this is what your collection would look like if you had some of Beto's stuff. You know, we got a lot of doubles in here, but this is probably something similar what your collection will look. This is towards the end and we work it down to 04. This is when his lowrider photography kind of starts. Again, he wasn't shooting for Lowrider magazine. He was shooting for Street Low at the time, which actually most of the photographers that I'm pretty good friends with actually started shooting with Street Low. So it seemed to be a good transition. Some of the people who jumped straight into Lowrider magazine, gonna keep it a buck, they're kind of dicks sometimes. You know, Nathan Trujillo, great guy. He started shooting with Lowrider magazine actually in '88 when he got out the military. Cool cat up in NorCal. He lived in SoCal for a little bit. Great guy. But some of those other guys, I mean, if you know the stories, you know the stories. They could be big-headed because all they do is shoot, you know, for Lowrider magazine. So sometimes it's better to actually work your way up through the trenches. So if you're a photographer out there, grind, you know. You're never gonna, it's better to do that grind than to jump right into getting that big gig, because a lot of the people who actually grind, they know that struggle and they're more likely to give out blessings, kind of like Beto did with me. So I appreciate him. But let's get into this book. So this book is great because you got to look over 20 years of a photographer's work, you know. That's a long lifespan, you know. That's why it's important to save your photos and you could reminisce. I do it occasionally, you know. My photos are nowhere near as good as his, but it's fun to see and look back and see how you perfected your craft. So you start off with this book, beautifully made book, but he goes into descriptions about how he was going to go and shoot some stuff, and it actually, this was supposed to be a shoot further later in that day. Ended up, the other cats didn't show up. You know, he's shooting with a Hewlett-Packard fucking camera. How many guys out there shoot with a fucking Hewlett-Packard? I don't even think they make cameras no more. So, I mean, it just was a different era. You could see, I mean, you could see where he's starting from. I mean, it's great that he's showing this to us. But if you look at it, man, the image quality, digital cameras in 04, you got to remember that mind state though. 04, people were still using film professionally. So to be shooting digitally in 04, bro, that's fucking wild, right? So we got these. He's shooting with the Hewlett-Packard. You know, nobody knew what the big camera bands were going to be. But then we go onto this. And this was 04 as well. So another Uso car. And then we go into, is this, I can't remember the date. The other thing that's great is actually he tells you the settings. So a lot of times in photography, some people shoot in auto, but the more skilled photographers actually will shoot in manual. So you understand what kind of lens they're shooting with and you're able to kind of adjust your aperture and, you know, your ISO as need be. Usually when everybody starts, they do start by shooting fully auto, but to really get, it's just like a car, you know, it's, if you're driving a manual, you're able to kind of get those gears in how you want to, versus if you're driving an automatic. Granted, in the lowrider world, it's a little obscure because usually you want an automatic, but if you're riding any other car, usually. So this is his earlier career. So this is 05. And then this was for his calendar, right? So he had his 06 calendar. I don't have a copy of that. I would like to see if I could find one, but you know, sometimes those hard release shit, it's hard to find. I think this is where you really see that big transition. You got 06, and then you step out here. This is another USA car. This is in 05. But just the difference between these two shots here, right? So this is studio stuff. Personally, so I'm a little biased as well. I like seeing stuff shot in a studio, but I prefer things that are shot outdoors. But that's just my preference. I understand a lot of people like the clean look of a studio. But so again, we're gonna go back to this. You got to cop a book just to see this. So you got this. This is a studio. I think he's shooting with a Hewlett Packard. I don't know if he changes to a Canon here. I know he changes to a Canon. This is a Sony. So he hops into a Sony for a little bit. He understands. He's starting to get his grasp on the different cameras and lenses. You could see the difference. It's night and day, straight up night and day. Look at this badass picture down here. You get setups. You kind of, the basis, you're starting to see the foundation grow of kind of the way that he shoots. Another great shot. This is also in, this is Modesto, California, but I'm trying to look for a year. Can't see the year off the top of my head. This is 08. Oh, it was featured in 08, but it was shot in 07. So you see the progression, right? He's getting better as he continues to shoot. I believe that their son passed, and he mentions that. This is the definite night and day. So this is when he jumps into a Canon. This is 2008. Everybody knows real photographers shoot on Canon. Right now you're watching this being shot on a Canon. L lenses only, for me at least. But I love my Canons. He shoots with Canon. Real photographers shoot with Canon. No disrespect to any others, but keep it a buck, that Canon's where it's at. So this is, I feel like, this is where he really starts to see the kind of who he is, you know? These are great, but it's Sony, you know? Not only that, though, I think that you can get great images out of other cameras, but the composition, the overall composition, there's no bokeh, you know? He actually, I never told him, but I sent him a couple photos and I saw him touch them up. Like those little things in the background, you could kill that out with bokeh, you know? At least that's what I feel. He even went in and edited out of my bokeh, you know? But that's what it takes to be a photographer, you know? This one, this is that epic shit. You got that 6.4 sitting, you got that Mountain S. You see how everything, there's a depth of field right here. I think that this is a great composition. Overall, like to see this amount of growth is crazy. So this would have been 4 years after that he started shooting. I mean, I feel like that's actually a normal amount of time. It's a little accelerated. And then you get to here. Oh man, this is where, this is shooting indoors. This is a crazy shot. This is shot on a Canon EOS 40D, and then this is his first cover shot. So this is, getting a cover is a big deal. So I mean, the fact that he got, you know, you're able to see that and kind of go through that, you get his love of shooting of women. Obviously you see it in the beginning, but it's like night and day, I'm telling you. Let's look at that first shot. You know, you get something like this. This is how I feel like I'm kind of shooting personally, but you get to that, to something like this. He's using lighting. He also talks about some other lighting tips, like he did some photo painting. But look, this is 09. You got the Cadillac cruising, you know, dipping, you know, the 90 front clip, but the wheels up in the air. That's hot. Like I said, I like seeing rolling footage. This is what I love to see personally. You get people up in the air and shit. This is low riding right here, you know. But then you get those detailed shots, you know, it locked up, and then you get that hydraulic setup, pro hopper setup, and then you get that button tuck interior. You know, it's very beautifully done with the pillow tops. But it's great. It's great to see how somebody can progress in the lowrider community and in photography as a whole. To my knowledge, I don't know if there's any other books out there that are quite like this. Again, you get some great compositions. I'm going to keep it a buck. I don't feel the most comfortable shooting people. I'm still trying to get better at that. But, I mean, you just see the growth, right? And then you get this 659, my bad. Upside down, I thought it was 6.0. But, I mean, you can't really beat. The lighting on this is, the composition is very beautifully done. It's just continual growth, right? So, and then you get this 6.4 out of Tracy. But this was his first time assisting in a studio shoot. So, I mean, it's night and day, right? So you got this. That's that studio. There's a couple studios. I've had homies reach out to me. I know there's one in Orange County and stuff they've told me about grabbing. But look at the difference. So, I mean, you have wrinkles on the floor and stuff like that. Pixelation, that's a little bit of camera, not really dealing with the actual level of a photographer. From that to this, for both being kind of studio shoots, it's night and day, right? So that's just wild. And then we're going to end it off with his last kind of, you know, precipice, where this was actually a cover car of Lowrider magazine, I believe. But we're going to get into this. And this is, this is in Norwalk. This is just a crazy shot. So he's shooting with Canon still. It's just, look at the composition. So I feel like he's really perfected shooting those detail shots, getting the overalls. He told me that he hates when people shoot the same shot over and over. And I feel like I'm a victim of that. Not a victim, because I'm not a victim at all. I am guilty of that myself, you know. I feel like I'll go through, I'll do a 3/4 in the rear, side shot, like if it's a big show, and then 3/4 in the front. But I got to get out of that comfort zone, you know. Maybe not try to shoot every single car like I do. This is the one that he did with light painting, Home Depot out of NorCal, you know what it is. So to light paint, just for reference, so with that, you're actually taking multiple exposures and you're actually focusing a light while you're shooting. So you're shooting long exposure on one end, and then you're also shooting on a tripod, obviously, but you're taking multiple shots. So you'll take several shots, light up the wheel well, just the wheel well and just one exposure, and then you'll go and do another thing. So it's layered photos on top of one another. That's how you're able to get this great lighting in all of these spots. But it's great to see. It's very time consuming and encompassing to do, but it's very awesome to see, you know. And then I think this is the last at sold. Beautiful painted car, but he's able to capture it. So you could paint a beautiful car, but you know, sometimes you got them shitty cell phone photos and it just doesn't capture as well, right? So that's the whole point of having a good camera on site and at a show, to really capture that detail. I've had people tell me that they try to take pictures with their cell phone and it just doesn't even capture all the paint. Sometimes you got like ghost patterns and things like that. But this was the last page in Beto's book. I think he did a really excellent job. It's really great to see a photographer go and expand on his career. I mean, Lowrider magazine, like I said, down here, this is 2020, it ended. He could have packed up his things and said that was it. But instead, he started CenterFoldz, which is my personal favorite book, not only because I'm included in some of the features, but I feel like it's actually a good quality book. You see that I'm a collector. I wouldn't be recommending these things to you if they weren't really good quality. There's tons of magazines that I pick up that are just okay. I feel like everything that Beto's putting out is actually top notch. It's almost better than Lowrider magazine. Lowrider magazine is a blip in time. You know, you have 77 to 2020, and that was a great time. And now we're in the era of CenterFoldz, so I feel like you guys should go pick up your CenterFoldz today. Pick up this book, celebrate the homie. I mean, to be shooting 20 years, bro, that's fucking wild. There's not too many people. There are photographers out there that have been shooting Lowrider magazine, but you can get burnt out real easy, you know? You're dealing with a lot of people. A lot of people have big egos, as we all know, and it makes it difficult, you know? It is enjoyable to a certain point, but then you got to deal with bullshit, and you're like, why? So I understand how people can get burnt out. He's been grinding for 20 years. Let's celebrate Beto. Peace and many blessings. Thanks for everybody checking out the video. Shouts out to Beto. Keep it up. Pick up CenterFoldz. New issue coming soon, that issue number 6. You have this book right here, and he also dropped a hardcover book, The Studio Life. Actually, let's grab it real quick. I'll show you a little bit about the studio, you know. So we got kilo slabs right here. You guys are actually up in a higher perspective too, because I want to show all these magazines, you know, they're all here. So like I said, this is 2020 all the way to 04. Let me go grab this real quick because I want to show off some of these. I do it occasionally, but I'm going to show you guys also dropping stuff, right? Gonna have to pick that up. So we got the Studio Life 2nd edition right here. This is a hot book too. So like I said, Beto was shooting for Lowrider Magazine. So you get hard drives because you just fill them up with a bunch of things that are photos that you just don't end up using, you know. I remember talking to Nathan Trujillo, and he was telling me the way that they used to shoot Lowrider Bicycle Magazine, this is when they were all still film compositions, they would take it, they would put it in an envelope, and then they would put it into like a box and send it off, and that was what was getting published, you know, and then they would never see these photos again. So the fact that he was able to retain all of his photos, I think is a great thing. You know, he has all of these photos from shoots that he did while he was working with a company that's basically no longer around. But he has all these compositions, so you're able to see glimpses into the past of cars that were on covers, cars that didn't get featured. I would go pick up this book today too. This is a hardcover book. Bro, at this prices for the value of these, bro, he's practically giving these things away, honestly. So I feel like you should go grab some of these. This is also a coffee style book. You know, the CenterFoldz themselves, them shits is great. Put them on the table, they look great. This is a hardcover book, so let's say if you have any type of shop or anything, you put this on the cover, or I'm sorry, you put this on a table, bro, this is what people want to see, you know? All these high detailed photos, great stuff. I mean, everybody knows this car, you know, it's everywhere, it's 59, you know, the mothership, you know, keep it a buck. Chris Mills killed it on this, but Beto shot it, you know? And in order, you know, you could immortalize it in this book and you could keep it on your hands. You know, tons of badass cars. I mean, I think this is Kennedy's car, John Kennedy. But I mean, look, hydraulic setups, you know. If you follow this channel, you fuck with hydraulic setups. And like I said, you want that calendar because the calendar has the overalls and you have the hydraulic setups in it. This book also does it. It, you know, immortalizes that craft. And go ahead, pick this up, man. 20 years in the game, man, that's a long ass time. I haven't even been shooting for 20 years, I don't think myself. I'd have to do the math, it's not even worth doing right now. But shout out to him for doing it. No, I haven't. That was 04 to now. Shout out to him for doing it and doing it well, you know? So peace and many blessings to everybody out there. Thanks for checking it out. Kilos Meet and we're out. Shouts to everybody that got me to 10,000 subs. Appreciate you. And we're on the road, man. See if we get 100,000 subs, right? Maybe we can do that in the next couple of years. I don't know. But the growth that we've been hitting on this channel has been great. You know what it is. Peace.